Calling to order the school board meeting of October the 1st, 2024. Invocation and a pledge of allegiance by Mr. Crowder.
Lord, as we gather here tonight as a group of people representing the will of the people that elect us, Lord, we just invite your presence here. We invite your wisdom. We ask for your wisdom. We ask for your guidance in order to make the difficult decisions that we have to go through. And Father, we just ask for your presence. We ask for blessings upon the parish of Terrebonne, the teachers, the students, the parents. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Roll call.
Mr. Michael Lagarde.
Here.
Mr. Gregory Harding.
Here.
Mr. Matthew Ford.
Here.
Mrs. Debbie Benoit.
Here.
Mr. Don Crowdis.
Here.
Dr. Bud Kluche.
Here.
Mr. Roger Dale DeHart.
Here.
Dr. Maybelle Trahan.
Here.
And Mr. Dane Voisin.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 5 on the agenda, approval of the minutes from our previous school board meetings. The recommendation that the board approve the minutes of the school board meeting of September 3rd, 2024, and special emergency school board meeting of September 17th, 2024, as recorded. So moved by Mr. DeHart, second by Mr. Voisin. Any public comment? Mr. DeHart?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Voisin?
No, ma'am.
Any other objections? None, any other board members? No objections? None heard, so ordered. Our announcements, item number 6. October the 11th is Staff Development Day 3. There will be no school for students on that day. October 14th is Indigenous Peoples Day, the second Monday in October. October 14th and 15th is fall break. Also no school for students on those days. October 15th, we have our committee meetings beginning with building service and food service and transportation, followed by education, technology and policy, finance, insurance, and section 16 lands, and finally executive committee. On the 21st through the 25th of October, we have National School Bus Safety Week. On October 28th, we have an ERC meeting at 4:30 and a PRC meeting at 5:30, and that is the Employer Representative Committee and the Parent Representative Committee. 11/5, Election Day, is a holiday, and 11/12 is our regular school board meeting for the month of November. Item number 7, school board meeting reports, Buildings, Food Service, and Transportation Committee. Mr. Voisin.
Thank you, Madam President. The Buildings, Food Service, and Transportation Committee met at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, September 17, 2024, in the boardroom of the school board office with the following members present: myself as chair, Mr. Lagarde vice chair. Also in attendance were Dr. Cloutier, Mr. Ford, Ms. Benoit, Mr. Crowdis, Superintendent Ogeron, and members of his staff. Recommendation number 1, the committee recommends that the board approve the request of SOLA Center for the Arts to waive policy file E-1.6, use of facilities, relative to the usage fee for H.L. Bourgeois High School's auditorium, effective March 30, 2025 through April 6, 2025, for a play, provided all necessary insurance requirements are met, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
So moved.
So moved, Ms. Benoit. Second, Mr. Lagarde. Public comments? Ms. Benoit?
No, sir.
Mr. Lagarde? Other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Recommendation number 2, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the renewal for third-party air quality monitoring services from Intertech PSI, 724 Central Avenue, Jefferson, Louisiana, 70121, for a 1-year period beginning October 4th, 2024 through October 3rd, 2025, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move, Mr. Crowdis. Second, Ms. Benoit. Any public comments? Mr. Crowdis? Ms. Benoit?
No, sir.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Recommendation number 3, the committee recommends that the board declare as surplus several maintenance vehicles that are unable to be repaired. Authorize the purchasing department to engage a qualified auctioneer for the sale and said vehicles at a public auction, or to dispose of them by any other legally allowable method, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move, Mr. Crowdis. Second, Dr. Trahan. Any public comments? Mr. Crowdis? Dr. Trahan?
No.
Any other board members?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
And this may be for Sammy, but is it possible to repurpose one of those vehicles? I'm not saying one specifically, but if we're declaring them surplus, since they are district property, is it possible to repurpose it within the district without having to have control by maintenance? Is it possible if we found one that was worthy of that?
What you want to repurpose it for? To-
Shuttle bus with Terrebonne.
They're not, yeah.
They're not,
Remember, they're
they're all.
20 years old, I
When
believe.
we,
Is that what we had
when we
established?
surplus them, they're surplused. It's,
Okay.
it's,
Okay, but, so that, my question was, can we do that? Not necessarily with one of these, but if that were, I'm just trying to
We can-
educate myself right here as far as what the policy requires. I know with
Oh.
other state items, they have to go to auction, but if we can repurpose it within the district is really my question.
I don't know if,
Don't know if it's fair.
I would say yes, but I don't know that officially, but I would say
Okay.
you could, if they're being.
Yeah, if we had one that was safe for the road and,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
I
sure.
mean, we can look
I have
at
a
it.
question about that. Then you wouldn't surplus it, you would just,
You wouldn't- you
you would
probably
just
wouldn't
repurpose
just
it
repurpose
for
it from the
something else.
beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need to go to surplus.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that.
Okay, yeah, just making sure. Okay, thank you.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Recommendation number 4, the committee recommends that the board authorize the superintendent and staff to enter into negotiations for the possible purchase of a tract of land adjacent to Acadian Elementary School.
So moved.
So move Dr. Trahan, second Ms. Benoit. Any public comments? Dr. Trahan?
No, sir.
Ms. Benoit?
No, sir.
Other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes.
We will reach out tomorrow with the.
Okay, thank you. Recommendation number 5, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept change order number 3 for the secure entry vestibule project at Oak Lawn Middle School in the amount of $1,610.82 to paint 5 doors. Funds to be derived from the Buildings Fund, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move, Mr. Crowdis. Second, Mr. Lagarde. Public comments? Mr. Crowdis? Mr. Lagarde? Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Recommendation number 6, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept change order number 3 for the building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at South Terrebonne High School in the amount of $592,674.88 for interior repairs to portable building rooms number 106, number 107, and number 108. Repair roof and walls, wall panels, ceiling tile and grid and vinyl gypsum board. Replace kitchen cooking equipment and replace underground kitchen drain lines required to meet code. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds, $451,652.38, and local funds, $141,022.50, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move Mr. DeHart. Second, Dr. Trahan. Any public comments? Mr. DeHart?
No, sir, thank you.
Dr. Trahan? Other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Recommendation number 7, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following change orders for Hurricane Ida recovery projects at Evergreen Junior High and authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move Dr. Trahan. Second, Mr. Lagarde. Public comments? Dr. Trahan? Mr. Lagarde? Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. There being no further business to come before the Buildings, Food Service, and Transportation Committee, the meeting was adjourned at 5:37 PM. I turn the meeting back over to you, Dr. Trejo.
Thank you, Mr. Voisin. Item 7B on the agenda, finance, insurance, and section 16 lands. Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Madam President. The Finance, Insurance, and Section 16's Lands Committee met immediately following the 5 PM Building, Food Service, and Transportation Committee meeting on Tuesday, September 17th, in the boardroom of the School Board Office with the following members present: myself, Chairman, Mr. Don Crowdis, Vice Chairman, and Dr. Bud Cloutier, Committee Member. Also in attendance were Mr. Dane Voisin, Mr. Michael Lagarde, Ms. Debbie Benoit, Mr. Gregory Harding, Superintendent Bubba Ogeron, and members of the staff. We had the first recommendation, rather, was the committee recommends that the board approve the adoption of the resolution as presented honoring K&B Machine Works LLC Industrial Tax Exemption Program, ITEP, application 2020543-ITE. Moved by Mr. Dehart. Seconded by Mr. Voisin. Any public comment? Mr. Dehart?
No, sir, thank you.
Mr. Voisin?
No, sir.
Any other board members? Any objections? I object. Any other objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item number 2, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept a one-time salary supplement as provided by the 2024 regular session of the legislature for those employees included in the funding plan in the amount of $2,000 for all full-time K-12 teachers and professional employees, and $1,000 for all full-time non-instructional support employees, funds to be derived from the state funding, and further, approve a one-time salary supplement in the amount of $2,000 for all full-time pre-kindergarten, early childhood teachers, adult education teachers, and professional employees, and $1,000 for all full-time support employees excluded from the Louisiana Legislative Funding Plan, funds to be derived from the General Operating Fund for all full-time employees who are employed as of November 1st, 2024, and still employed as of November 21st, 2024, supplement to be paid on November 21st, 2024. Moved by Dr. Cloutier,
Second.
second by Ms. Benoit. Any public comment? Dr. Cloutier?
No, sir.
Ms. Benoit?
No, sir.
Any other board members? Mr. Dehart?
Mr. Ogeron, does this cover cooks and custodians too,
Yes, sir.
full-time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to verify that. Thank you.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item number 3, recommendation 3, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept a one-time differential compensation supplement for 2024-2025 as provided by the 2024 regular session of the Louisiana Legislature based upon guidelines set forth by legislature and Bessie to address recruitment and retention needs, funds to be derived from state funding, stipend to be paid no later than May 30th, 2025. Moved by Dr. Cloutier, seconded by Mr. Crowdis. Any public comment? Dr. Cloutier?
No, sir.
Mr. Crowdis? Any other board members?
Got
Mr.
one
Dehart?
question. When are we going to receive that funding? I just want to clear it up in my mind.
Michelle, do you know that offhand? We have the money, yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did have a question. Anyone else have any other questions? Okay, so during the committee meeting, we talked about if it's possible to have it sort of like segregated for retention and recruitment and then have incentive pay. And I know it's too late to do that this year, it's on here, but is it possible for us to do that? Instead of spending the entire amount on those employees this year, putting aside a little bit of that money to use as incentive pay to get them to come back?
I don't think so.
Or does it have to be
Doctor,
spent?
do you know that offhand?
It's got to be used all in that
That's
one
right.
year? Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Use it or lose it.
Yep. Any other comments?
Yeah.
Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. There being no further business come before the Finance, Insurance, and Section 16's Lands Committee, the meeting adjourned at 6:25 PM. I turn it back over to you, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Item 7C, the Executive Committee report. Dear members of the board, the Executive Committee met immediately following the 5 PM Buildings, Food Service, and Transportation Committee and the Finance, Insurance, and Section 16 Lands Committee meetings on Tuesday, September 17th, 2024, in the boardroom of the School Board office with the following members present: Mr. Voisin, Vice President; Mr. Michael Lagarde, Member. Also in attendance were Dr. Cloche, Ms. Benoit, Mr. Ford, Mr. Crowdis, Mr. Harding, Superintendent Ogeron, and members of his staff. Vice President Voisin called the meeting to order. The Executive Committee examined and authorized payment of invoices for the current month, including supplemental payroll and travel expenses. There were no committee member concerns presented at the time. Do I have a motion to accept this report? Motion for Mr. Voisin, second by Ms. Benoit. Any public comment? Mr. Voisin?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Benoit?
No, ma'am.
Any other board members? None heard, no, any objections? None heard, so ordered. Being that there was no further business to come before the Executive Committee, the meeting was adjourned at 6:26 PM. Next item on the agenda is our Education, Technology, and Policy Committee. Ms. Benoit.
Thank you, Madam President. The Education, Technology, and Policy Committee met immediately following the other meetings on September 17th, 2024, in the boardroom of the School Board office. Present were myself as chair and Mr. Gregory Harding as vice chair. Also in attendance were Mr. Voisin, Dr. Cloche, Mr. Ford, Mr. LaCour, Mr. Crowdis, Superintendent Ogeron, and members of the staff. The first recommendation is that the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following revised policy file A-5.2, qualifications for school board members.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. DeHart, second by Mr. Voisin. Any public comment? Mr. DeHart?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Voisin? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Second is the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following revised policy file B-3, school board member continuing education. Moved by Mr. Voisin, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Voisin? Dr. Trahan? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 3. The committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following revised policy file B-12.1, notice of meetings. Moved by Mr. Harding.
Second.
Second by Mr. DeHart. Any public comment? Mr. Harding? No. Mr. DeHart?
No, ma'am.
Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 4 is being pulled. There's going to be some revision there, so we're not going to be voting on it
If you
tonight.
like, just a little clarification, I can just give you an example of what's.
Sure.
So upon further review, there's a portion of this compensation package which is the longevity piece. That's inaccurate. When Forethought put this policy together, they went back and pulled from a 2016 policy, and since then we've revised longevity. When Mr. Martin was here, we added a couple of dollars to each step along the way. So it's not accurate in its entirety, so we need to revise it, bring it back to
Committee?
October committee, and then try to move forward with that.
Okay.
That's the right
Thank
way
you
to
for
do
that
it. Thank you.
explanation. Recommendation number 5, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following revised policy file F-11.4, sick leave. Moved by Mr. Ford,
Second.
second by Mr. DeHart. Any public comment? Mr. Ford?
No, ma'am.
Mr. DeHart?
No, ma'am.
Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Let's see where I'm- Recommendation number 6, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following revised policy file F-11.4B, sick leave bank. Moved by Mr. Voisin, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Voisin? Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 7, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following revised policy file H-3.6, student health services.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford?
No, ma'am.
Dr. Trahan? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 8, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following revised policy file H-3.6C, administration of medication. Moved by Mr. Voisin, second by Mr. DeHart. Any public comment? Mr. Voisin? Mr. DeHart?
No, thank you.
Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 9, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following revised policy file H-3.6I, behavioral health services for students. Moved by Mr. Voisin, second by Dr. Boucher. Any public comment? Okay, Mr. Voisin. Okay, nothing. Dr. Boucher. Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. And finally, recommendation number 10, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the revised policy pupil progression plan for the 24-25 school session. Moved by Dr. Kluche, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Dr. Kluche? Dr. Trahan? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. There being no further business to come before the Education, Technology, and Policy Committee, the meeting was adjourned.
Thank you very much, Ms. Benoit. Item number 8, superintendent's agenda.
Okay, item 8A1 is a resolution in observance of National School Bus Safety Week, October 21st to 25th, 2024. The recommendation is that the board approve the following resolution recognizing October 21st through the 25th, 2024 as National School Bus Safety Week.
Would you please read the resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Whereas, the resolution states, whereas Louisiana parish and city systems provide free transportation for students each school day, whereas the citizens of this state recognize the efforts and dedication of the administrators, teachers, school bus drivers, and other employees who make the school systems operational on a daily basis, whereas all officials of public and non-public schools strive for the efficient and safe transportation of all students, and whereas the State of Louisiana, the Department of Education, and the Office of School and Community Support recognize the commendable efforts displayed by all involved in the school transportation program. Now therefore it be resolved that the Terrebonne Parish School Board does hereby proclaim the week of October 21 to 25th, 2024 as National School Bus Safety Week, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be forwarded to all Terrebonne Parish public schools and office buildings.
Moved by Dr. Cloche, second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Dr. Cloche? Mr. Ford?
I do have a comment, and just, I want to reiterate this. We talked about this a while back when we were debating on giving the bus drivers pay raise, pay increase. But they are the lifeline to the school district. And, you know, they are the first people to see our students and the last people to see the students. So their job is paramount, and I don't think that gets expressed enough. And then when you take that into consideration and the way that people drive these days, especially early in the morning, everyone seems to be in a rush. Everyone seems to be late. I think it's time we do something like this to recognize those bus drivers, in addition to, you know, the pay increase that we did, but I think it's a good idea. So thank you for this.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. I think that I am in full agreement with that, and I'm sure most of the board members are. Thank you for that statement. We are very much appreciative and supportive of our bus drivers. Without them, we don't have kids to teach at school. Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Okay, number 2 is a resolution in observance of the month of October 2024 as National Anti-Bullying Month. The recommendation is that the board approve the following resolution in observance of the month of October 2024 as National Anti-Bullying Month. Resolution states this: whereas school bullying has become an increasingly significant problem in the United States, whereas almost 20% of youth in the United States are estimated to be involved in bullying each year, either as a bully or a victim. whereas an estimated 160,000 students in kindergarten through 12th grade miss school every day to a fear of being bullied, whereas bullying can take many forms, including verbal, physical, and most recently in cyberspace, and can happen in many places on and off school grounds, whereas it is important for Terrebonne Parish School District administrators to be aware of bullying and to encourage discussion of the problem as a school system. And whereas the Terrebonne Parish School District is united in its desire to educate and encourage positive behaviors and eliminate bullying behaviors, now therefore be it resolved that the Terrebonne Parish School District hereby proclaims its unified commitment to the education and prevention of bullying within our communities and schools, exploring solutions to the problem, including cyberbullying, and offering support in raising awareness and recognizing the month of October 2024 as National Anti-Bullying Month in Terrebonne Parish Schools. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be forwarded to all Terrebonne Parish public schools and office buildings.
Moved by Mr. Voisin. Second by Dr. Cloutier. Any public comment? Mr. Voisin? Dr. Cloutier? Excuse me, come on up. I'm sorry I didn't see you. Please state your address and the name for the record.
Linda Fungi, 113 Shelley Court, Houma, Louisiana, 70364. I have a question about the bullying. I know I can't ask questions, okay, so I'll make the statement. Exactly what does the school do when they promote National Bullying Week? Are there posters that are put out? Is there conflict resolution classes that are given to students? Are they made aware? I mean, I picture coming into the school and I see this month is national whatever, and it's in my face every day when I come to school. And the teachers talk about it, the principal announces it. It's just made aware all day long, all month long, so that you know that month is about this issue. And so I can't ask you a question, but I can say, I think that if that's not being done, that should be done, especially with conflict resolution classes being given, even in the high school, because kids don't know how to work stuff out, unfortunately. So that's what I have to say.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
ma'am. Any other, excuse me, Dr. Cloutier?
Yes. I think, again, this is a very important issue. I appreciate the fact that we're doing a resolution of this to bring it to the forefront. We've seen across the United States the negative impact that bullying causes within the school system to children and families, and the fact that we are highlighting this as a school system, making this aware, making our teachers, our principals, our administrators aware, making it a topic of conversation instead of pushing it under the rug, I think is extremely important. And I appreciate the fact that we're doing that and highlighting this, and and to continue as an ongoing basis as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ford?
I will echo what Dr. Cloutier said, but I also want to take it a step further. I agree. We need to, I remember just 5-6 years ago, we would wear an orange shirt on a Wednesday to the anti-bullying campaign, and then we had an anti-bullying week, and then we had an anti-bullying month. We need an anti-bullying year. We need 365, 24/7. One of the biggest complaints that I get, or not complaints, but people email me, message me, call me, it tends to be dealing with bullying. And it's I don't know if it's just because we're so much more aware of it now. I don't know if kids are more prone to it, maybe if they're more sensitive. I mean, I know most of us up here grew up in a different generation to where, we kept those things to ourselves and we swept them under the rug, and we weren't able to really articulate what was going on. But state of the world we're in today, we need to have those conversations. We need more than just a poster on the wall. We need those conversations to be had not just with parents and community members, but in the schools, with administrators, with teachers, with custodians, with everyone. Everyone at that school should have the best interests of those kids in mind, and they should be there because they want to work with kids, and and when they see and hear things, they should be able to feel free to interject without having to worry about the consequences that come with it, because I just think that's why people kind of withdraw and they refrain from getting involved because there's so many different concerns that you have to have. And I like that we're doing this resolution. I do think we need a little bit more in the way of, let's talk about what bullying is, let's talk about what it looks like, and let's talk about what it isn't also. Because every year, all of us that are public employees, public servants, we do the anti-bullying, the 1 hour training, hour and a half training online. And a lot of times they talk about what bullying is, but they don't talk about what it isn't. And I think there's a fine line between bullying and just, being a teenager. So I think, I agree. We need a little bit more. I like this, but I think we need more.
Thank you. Mr. DeHart?
Yes, ma'am. I'd just like to revisit something. I've been on this board a long time, and whenever I first got here, the state legislator, whenever they put the bullying policy in effect statewide, they gave a definition. And I don't know if anybody, I'm not accusing anybody, but all of our employees, all of them, need to be made aware what the true definition is that the state handed down. And the reason I say that is that we have people that retired years ago, and they know what bullying is. But guess what? Whenever you have to meet with a parent and say, well, this is not bullying, some administrators do say that, and they're probably correct. I'm not questioning. It's just that I think right now that's part, whenever you have principals meeting, to emphasize that for all employees, not just teachers, not just principals. But I think really and truly the definition, if it's not passed forward, it should be passed forward, because it really and truly is going to help fix problems a lot easier, a lot faster, than everybody have a different interpretation. So I'm just suggesting it worked in the years past, and lately, I don't know what goes on at a principal's meeting or, employees, but still, I want to make sure all employees, whether it's bus drivers, or whether it's cooks, custodians, everybody needs to know what the true definition is. That way, we can identify and help students before it gets too far. I just like to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bidwell?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Trahan. I agree with all that's been said, and I appreciate our public comment from Ms. Glenda. And although she can't ask the question, I'd like to ask the question of what exactly is being done as far as activities or interventions on our campuses. And is it different depending on, is it up to the principal or whomever at the campus what they do? And either you or maybe Ms. LaRose could share some of those things that are going to be going on?
Yeah, I mean, would you mind, Ms. LaRose? Ms. LaRose, with bullying and different resolutions, we tend to track and have them submit specific things that they do. One thing that I know is done that might not be on a list, but we have a counselor at every school, obviously, that is this year much more involved in giving lessons to kids. Rather than responding, we're very proactive with specific counseling lessons, and this is one of the topics, like you said, Mr. Ford, that we cover yearly. And can I, before Ms. LaRose, can I make a comment to Mr. DeHort's?
Sure.
And I think you brought up a great point, is that the definition of bullying is very specific. But I think it's very important that we say, and Mr. Tarbert could kind of attest to this, that just because it doesn't fit the definition doesn't mean that we sweep any prior behaviors under the rug. I mean, something that's a precursor to bullying is not tolerated, even though it's not bullying. I just want people to know that, it's not bullying, so we don't do anything. No, if a kid is assaulted, we address it very severely. It's not, well, it doesn't fit the pattern according to the definition. I just want to make that part clear too. But Mr. Rose can kind of talk to the point of what schools at different levels do with this kind of money.
Right. And one of the things with the definition is it says it's reoccurring, either by an individual person or a group of people. Well,
Pattern, yes.
yeah, you don't want to wait for things to just keep happening.
That's my point.
I mean, if it's mean, it's rude, it's ugly, it's just not nice. I don't care if it's one time or multiple times. And so that's what we try to teach children. So we have our, on our website, we have where children, teachers, parents, anybody can go in and report bullying. And when that is reported, it has to be tended to. And our CWA department tends to that.
Sandra, can I add something to what you
Yes.
just said? That's such a great point, and it's actually one of the 20 points of our 20-point safety
Safety
plan, is
plan.
that piece there. Because we know that bullying can lead to bigger things down the line. So we want that to be provided to all kids so they can report and we can be proactive and not let it get to the point of something worse. So I just want to kind of point that out.
So, you know, you shouldn't wait until anti-bullying month, week, whatever it is, to do something. And so that's something that we advertise to children about the website itself. And then, like Mr. Angeron said, the counselors do lessons with the children. During that month, we have, in the lower grades, we have them reading books. There's a whole collection of little books about, you know, the bully in the book and what the other children do. And then when we move up to middle school, we're encouraging them to report it to the proper person. You know, if it's a child that you're saying is bullying you, go to the appropriate adult. Some kids say it's a teacher or it's another adult on campus. Well, go to a different adult that you trust. And that's what the counselors are pushing and teachers are pushing, especially at that time. You will hear during that month a lot of the principals doing a daily announcement about bullying, starting with what is a bully, what is not tolerated about bullies, and then they build upon that throughout the month. If you go into schools right now, you will see posters up about bullying. It's not something that we put up for that month and then take down. Those are in the schools already. And then just making everybody aware of it, because kids are afraid to report it. And we know that. And so it's getting the message out to kids that we will protect you. Adults will protect you. You have to be able to go to someone you trust, whether it's a parent, whether it's, you know, one of you making a phone call from a parent on behalf of a child. We have to encourage kids throughout the year to do that. Even if it's not bullying, like I said, I mean, some people are just not nice. And they can call it whatever they want, but when we get phone calls and it's reports of bullying, you don't sit there and try to decipher at that point, is it really bullying or is it not? No, it's a complaint because a child is being treated a way that they're not supposed to. So it's getting that message out and making kids aware that they do not have to tolerate any of that. None of us do. So,
And if I can just add one more thing, as an administrator, and we have an administrator in the audience, Dr. Nelson, when they're presented with a bullying complaint, it's not optional to investigate. Like, that's part of the protocol, which is part of the law. And we have to report it properly on proper forms, and the investigation has to be thoroughly done. And then there's a determination if it is or isn't. And then if there are further incidents that it is deemed that it is bullying, there are specific actions that the school must take consistently across the district or the state. It's not kind of just random. It's very specific charges and suspensions and beyond in some cases. So I feel confident that our administrators, Doc, would you, yes, agree? And she probably does that once in a while, if I had to guess. Yes, once a week. So I just want to kind of put that out there, that it's very well addressed if and when we get it.
and some of the schools like to put, you've probably passed by and you've seen that they shove the cups through the cyclone fence holes to spell out, you know, anti-bullying, or they'll put against bullying and those kinds of things. They do the same thing for Drug-Free Week. But again, we want to acknowledge that month, but we want it to be something that we see on a daily basis, not just during that one month. I agree with what you said about it should be anti-bullying year, every year, so.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Wazza, second by Mr. Cloche. We ain't had public comment. Mr. Boisson, did you have a statement? Mr. Cloche, Dr. Cloche, or other, we have covered other board members. Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
The system.
Okay, number 3 is a resolution declaring the month of November 2024 as Native American Indian Heritage Month in Terrebonne Parish School System. The recommendation is that the board approve the following resolution declaring the month of November 2024 as Native American Indian Heritage Month in the Terrebonne Parish School System.
So moved.
Second.
Excuse me,
Roger, Debbie.
did you read it already? Or
I'll read
you
it
have
right
a
now.
motion?
Yeah.
Make the motion.
Mr. DeHart,
And Ms. Benoit
Ms.
second.
Benoit second.
Okay, the resolution states, whereas the Title VI Indian program is a viable part of the Terrebonne Parish educational system, whereas emphasis on the cultural heritage of Indian students is one of the 4 goals of the Title VI Indian Education Grant, whereas the month of November has been observed as Native American Indian Heritage Month since 1990, whereas instructional lessons on Indians and their heritage are traditionally taught to students during the month of November, and whereas the Title VI Indian Education staff and the Title VI Indian Education Parent Committee are requesting that the month of November 2024 to be recognized as Native American Indian Heritage Month in the Terrebonne Parish School System. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Terrebonne Parish School Board does hereby declare the month of November 2024 as Native American Indian Heritage Month in the Terrebonne Parish School System, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be forwarded to all Terrebonne Parish public schools and
Thank
departments.
you, Mr. Ogeron. Motion by Mr. DeHart, second by Ms. Benoit. Do we have a public comment? Mr. DeHart.
No, ma'am,
Mr.
thank you.
Midborn. Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Okay, number 4 is consideration of approval of bid received for the demolition project at Ellender Memorial High School. The recommendation is that the board approve and accept the lowest bid received, meeting all specifications for the demolition project in response to Hurricane Ida at Ellender Memorial High School from HFL Demolition LLC, 1319 Highway 55, Montague, Louisiana, 70377, in the amount of $1,699,000, and establish a total project budget in the amount of $1,873,657.20. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds, $1,686,291.48, and local funds, $187,365.72. And further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
Motion by Mr. Voisin.
Second.
Second by Mr. DeHart. Any public comment? Mr. Voisin?
So now that we have approved it, do we know that start date will be, if you don't mind?
Mr. Abear, would you like to kind of give us a little bit of the timelines on this one here in particular?
Good evening. Now that we have hopefully permission to proceed, contracts will be signed. We're looking to establish a pre-construction meeting as soon as early part of next week. We anticipate within the next week and a half, once we can coordinate our efforts with the existing school, he gets his security fencing in place so we can protect the campus. Construction will begin approximately 2.5 weeks.
Okay, good.
We still have a little bit of upfront stuff to do. There's some coordination efforts with the parish, demolition of some existing gas lines, some utilities that we're refinagling. But outside of that, it should start pretty quickly.
So from start to finish, any idea? You know, is that like a 2-week process, a 2-month process?
Start to finish?
Yeah,
300 days.
300 days. Is that what we
Yep.
approved? Good Lord. Can't do it in 2 weeks?
I wish we could, I really do. Again, we base that information on what we saw happen with Grand Cayu's demolitions. That was a 150-day duration. It's the same GC that's doing that project. Ellender is 4.5 times the size of that campus.
Yep.
So we think 300 is probably going to be aggressive, but we believe it can be done.
Good. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. DeHart?
I just have one question for the superintendent, maybe he can answer it. The front of the building, the original building, is where, I'm just saying, it's planned, I heard some discussion earlier, you know, that we plan on the demolition is gonna be out there, that way it don't interfere with the parking lots and stuff like that. But I went over there Friday, visiting schools, and I didn't stop there, but I saw they had a huge tree in the front.
Saw that, yeah.
And that's gotta be removed. That way the green light goes and it don't delay anything. And that's on us. I'm just saying, we need to get that out of the way, because you can't pass there. I don't know if
Are they
it's
gonna,
moved or
are they
not.
gonna handle
Demolition
that?
contractor's
They're
already
gonna
on
handle
it.
it, Mr. Dior.
Good, well, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I didn't want to delay anything. I'm like,
It's a
Mr.
big,
Wazan.
it's a big oak tree, big water.
Oh, I know,
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he, not an issue.
If I'd have had a rope, I'd have pulled it out the way. Thank you. I was just curious, because I don't want to delay anything. I wanted to be able to get ready, go.
After Francine, I'm sorry, Mr.
Yeah,
O'Connor.
go ahead.
After Francine, we did an assessment before
Mm-hmm.
and immediately after the storm. He's already been on site to
Yeah.
help pick up construction debris from the school
Okay.
so that maintenance could get out there and do lawn care.
Okay.
So he's already, I mean, he was
Right.
working ahead of his contract, but he was eager to assist the school district.
Well, we have so much unknowns right now about hurricanes. They got some out there, they don't know what it's gonna do. Guess what? I always think the worst, and that's just the way I was born and raised around here.
understand.
Because, you know, anything can delay anything, and it took so long for FEMA to approve that project. That's what I'm furious about. So, thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Ms. Dior. Mr. Ford?
I'm not furious, but I don't recognize the name of this construction or demo company. So is this the first time they're gonna do business or do work for us?
No, actually, they did the demolition of Grand Caillou.
Okay, so they did the original Grand Caillou Middle, or
No,
Grand-
no, the Grand Caillou.
Oh, the
Electric.
one that's going on
Just
right?
now.
Okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah.
So, so I assume, well, then you have a good working relationship with them.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
just like with Grand
Well-
Caillou and Upper Little Caillou, is there anything that we're trying to salvage from that campus or repurpose, you know, for keepsake purposes, or to, you know, when we did Southdown, they repurposed the
Oh, yes.
gym and salvaged the gym. I heard talks about some of the areas at Ellender, or is it pretty much all? of them?
Perhaps Craig is looking to incorporate some of, and you can elaborate, Craig, some of the, what are they? The awning supports or the trusses that are in different areas, like the blue angled
Yeah,
supports?
trusses, yeah.
Just to repurpose, give it some memorialization of the
Yeah, yeah,
school
the
and
school.
stuff like, some areas. Not overly done though, but there are some legitimate needs for some of that stuff too.
It may not be as practical as just wiping it out and starting all over, but it is a good story. It's a good piece to say, you know, we salvaged a little bit of the school,
Yeah,
so, you know,
Gy-
carry
gym,
on.
The gym.
In the
court-
student mall
court.
areas, if you're familiar with those spaces, they have some pipe trusses that they constructed when they did those malls.
I think they're painted royal blue, right? Or-
Correct.
It's royal blue.
And prior to the release of the documents, we approached the superintendent about saving them. In total, we're looking to salvage approximately 8 of them. Now, once they come down, we'll have to have them evaluated. We don't know the gauge of steel or the condition that they're currently in. But it is our intention to factor those into a portion of the design.
That's what I want to know, so I like that. Okay, thank you.
Any other
If
board
I can,
members?
if after everybody.
Mr. Dior, you had another
I
statement?
just want to make a comment, and I really am pleased with the demolition they had at the Grand Caillou Elementary site. The property is now level. I'm just saying, before they had that big dip in the back, and I really like everybody that participated in that. That way, whenever the new building gets built, I'm just saying, it's not just about elevation, it's just that it's gonna be much better. And thank God, we're not gonna have no modular buildings and portable buildings.
That's right.
I just have one thing.
I had to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were
No,
done.
I just had to say that.
I've had several parents contact me because they're very sentimental about the Ellender Silver name on the outside the building. We've had to have special permission since the Ida because the graduates like to take their pictures in front of that name. And they really, the parents that I've spoken to would really like to see that name and those letters reused and salvaged.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Just one last comment on that. Let this recommendation signify that Ellender will be rebuilt
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
and not combined or anything like that.
combined.
We are moving forward, and Craig is planning for the new building to house Ellender.
That's right.
Only Ellender.
That's
So that
correct.
needs to be clear. We all know that, but that's kind of not well-known. But he's planning to move forward with the new Ellender High School.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Craig. Appreciate
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. I might have spoke out of turn, but I did reply that to the calls I got.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
As far as I knew.
number 5 is Personnel Section, 5A, Leave of Absence, Family and Medical Leave. Number 1, recommendation is that the board approve a family and medical leave in accordance with Policy File F-11.4A for Patricia Nolan, Special Education Bus Attendant in the Transportation Department, beginning September 30th, 2024 through January 15th, 2025, medical.
So move.
Do I have a
Second.
motion?
Mr. DeHart, second.
Motion, this Ms. DeHart, second, Ms. Benoit. Any public comment? Ms. DeHart?
No, ma'am,
Ms.
thank you.
Benoit? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
And letter B, personnel actions for the period of August 23rd, 2024 through September 20th, 2024, for your review, board members, information only. And number 6 is a matter bearing upon pending litigation, Bobby Douglas Jr. versus Darlene Norman, et al., docket number 0187982, 32nd Judicial District Court, Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana. Executive session is requested.
Move that we go to.
Motion for
Second.
executive session, Mr. DeHart, second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Mr. DeHart?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ford? Any other board members? No, any objections? None heard, so ordered.